Today, my presentation will talk about the three challenges to the smaller private colleges that we ignore at our peril. The three challenges are tuition discounting, enrollment declination, and then presidential turnover. For each of the challenges, I will focus on what the challenges are, why they are important to address, and then general ideas how do we respond. Tuition discounting is a practice whereby institutional grants are used to subsidize a student's educational expense. Almost four-year private institutions use it as a way to attract students who are either unable to pay or unwilling to pay the full cost of tuition, or use it as a strategy to recruit students with specific background or academic characteristics. In the 2019 NACUBO tuition discounting study, 366 private and non-profit colleges and universities reported an estimated 52.6% average institutional tuition discount rate for full-time freshmen in 2019 to 2020, and 47.6% for all undergraduates. That means 47 cents of each dollar in tuition and fees are used for financial aid. NACUBO report also suggests that both the share of students receiving institutional grants and the size of those grants have increased. And this trend suggests that most increased in tuition and fees listed prices have largely been increased even higher institutional discounts, and also raise concerns about the long-term sustainability of this practice. Ryan 2016 offers another lens to see tuition discounting, and he called it a shell game. Tuition discounting can be used to compete for academically gifted students who might enroll somewhere else and increase diversity of student body. But it also drives attention from the true measures of academic quality. And then this practice encourages people to think of college education as a commodity. They ignore a lot of relevant questions about the student's success. This practice employs a redistributionist pricing scheme. That means not all the students receive the same account. Like Martin and Samuel suggested in their book, schools' ability to cut price is increasingly being used to bid for pure quality of wealthy students at the expense of more costly poor students of equal quality who have to be given additional needed basis price discounts. Tuition discount is unsustainable escalation. For more than a decade, economists of education have warned that increased tuition discounting could escalate in response to heightened consumer awareness and the strategic pricing of competing colleges. NACUBO reports that recent trends suggest that this escalation has in fact become a reality because many smaller and private colleges have been forced to increase their financial aid faster than their published tuition rates, resulting in flat or even negative net tuition growth. Tuition discounting is the problem, not the remedy. Tuition discounting is an addiction. That means it must be recognized for its risk. Presence backed by boards how to weave themselves off this drug. That's Wu 2017 warns. He said, it is priced out of reach for the ordinary consumer as much as academics shy away from terms such as business model and consumer. The institutions that employ them are selling something to somebody. middle-class families will not pay the price. Some educators say that if we lose the middle-class students, we lose the enrollment. Wu continued to stress that tuition discounting cannot continue. Sooner or later, college and university will be forced to confront this truth. The longer they deny it, the harder the inevitable crash. Let's look at the second challenging enrollment declination: private colleges in peril. There are three factors that contribute to the enrollment declination. First, the financial pressure. Some small and less selective colleges command generally fewer financial resources than their more selective peers. So these small colleges admit more than half of all applicants. Second, public universities across the nation also compete with private colleges for students, both in and out of state, by creating honors colleges that is smaller, more selective college within the larger system. About 100 institutions now offer such programs. The third factor is free tuition movement. The emerging free tuition movement also further strengthen the hand of public institutions at the expense of the private sector. In response to a free tuition movement in 2017 in New York, David Brooks made a voice for small and private college. He said, "Suddenly, the state's 150 private colleges have to compete with free. Many of those schools are already struggling to survive. If upper middle-class students are drawn away to public colleges, private ones may close. That hurts the state's educational diversity, it destroys jobs, and it hurts the state." Let's look at risk indicators. Martin and Samuel warned that small colleges and universities can no longer afford to stay small when small is fewer than 100 students. The global pandemic has further endangered many small colleges. Enrollment at less selective colleges shrunk by 1.8% to 2.5% in all other categories. Gazlo 2019 say Harvard Business School's Clayton Christensen expects half of all U.S. colleges and universities to close or go bankrupt in the next decade. That's a worst-case scenario, but Moody's Investor Service also report that 15 private colleges will close each year, causing major problems for local economics. And economist Mr. Graff expect a small four-year college to shed some 9,000 faculty and staff positions over the next decade. The time to determine the future of the private college is now. In response to this enrollment declination, some scholars say, when your college is in question, you need to reassess who you are and what needs to change. Gazlo say the leadership's four real options. First, you need to get serious now about mergers with other regional institutions. Second, change recruitment strategies to the places where more students. Third, craft a niche identity for their colleges aimed at a particular student constituency. Fourth, establish to create a new path to forward. The third challenge is presidential turnover. Let's see the statistic information tell us. According to 2016 CIC report, nearly a quarter of CIC presidents plan to step down from the presidency within the next year or two, which is almost double those who planned to leave the presidency within 2 years in 2011. 22% of CIC colleges, around 150 presidents, intended to leave their current institutions between 2017 and 2028. If the presidency's own predictions are accurate, 3 out of 4 CIC presidents may change in the next 9 years, meaning around 510 presidential transitions between 2017 and 2026. Presidency turnover leading when the map keeps changing. Let's see what pressure caused the presidency turnover. As the landscape of higher education in the U.S. is changing nationally, small private colleges are facing even more leadership pressure from demographic, financial, and political influences. And higher education is changing dramatically. Leadership strategies that brought the field to its current state may be inadequate to address emerging challenges and lead into the future. Merrick and Sanahan call for leaders of future. I like this quotation from them. They said, there is no roadmap for navigating declining funding and increasing expectations, and there is no instructional manual for preserving academic history of an institution while making it more relevant to today's demand. The operation of environment in higher education is too complex for a leader to simply be smart enough to know the right answer in each situation. They call the future leader with a new skill set. I resonated with the quotation Patrick Sanahan's. My optimism comes from the fact that a path for change exists. My caution comes from the fact that getting on that path is difficult. The future leader has to have some qualities. The leaders who are anticipatory thinkers. They can look forward in many different ways and make sense of fast-moving issues and trends. The leaders who are tolerant of risk and failure. They know how to deal with the failure and learn from the failure, and then keep positive to move the institution forward. And the future leader must be effective conveners and facilitators. They must get in collective mind and the will of organizational stakeholders. They are willing to trust others and change assumptions and treat conflicts as a resource. The future leaders must be courageous decision makers and resilient. They can confront the change, and after the challenges, they can still remain positive. Thank you. Thank you so much. That's it.